Yeah, but when he gets here, I'm going to tell him that I fought for him.
Okay.
You tell him that I said we should start.
The May 8th, 2018 meeting of the West Covina Community and Senior Citizens Commission is hereby called to order. Commissioner Cox, would you like to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance?
Ready? Begin.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
And the Secretary, we will have a roll call.
Commissioner Arredondo, Commissioner Blackburn,
Present.
Commissioner Cox,
Here.
Commissioner Din,
Here.
Commissioner Kennedy,
Here.
Commissioner Lewis,
Here.
Commissioner Pena, Commissioner Stewart,
Here.
Chair Kaufman,
Present.
Vice Chair Lopez.
Here.
I have no cards presented to me. If there's anyone present who would like to address the commission, please let us know. Hearing no response, let's proceed to the consent calendar and the approval of the minutes of our last meeting. Are there any additions or corrections to those minutes?
I have one. Item number 4, talking about the band's concerts. It had me listed as one of the people who attended the concert share. I did not attend.
Yes, I believe that
was Stewart.
should be corrected to show Commissioner Stewart rather than Commissioner Blackburn.
Right, okay.
Any other corrections or additions? Is there a motion to approve the minutes with the one correction?
So moved. I motion.
And is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? And let the record show 8-0. New business, Community and Recreation Services Volunteer Year Application Review and Selection. We seem to have 2 applications for 2 different individuals, one of those individuals having 2 separate applications. Is there any discussion on the applications that we have received? Would someone like to make a nomination of one of the 2 people who have been nominated?
I'm going to nominate Ruby Fournier.
Okay, is there a second for Ruby Fournier?
I'll second.
Okay, Madam Secretary, may we have a roll call vote?
Commissioner Arredondo, Commissioner Blackburn,
Yes.
Commissioner Cox,
Here. Yes.
Commissioner Din,
Yes.
Commissioner Kennedy,
No.
Commissioner Lewis,
Yes.
Commissioner Pena, Commissioner Stewart,
Yes.
Vice Chair Lopez,
Yes.
Chair Kaufman.
Yes. I believe that's a 7-1, 7-1 vote in favor, and as we have only one person for the Recreational Services Award, then we do not need a vote for the second person.
So it's that recreation.
Right, so as has been done in the past, this year we did, this is a turn of events, we've received 2 nominations for or 3 nominations, particularly 2 individuals for recreation services. So if it pleases the commission, you can also make a motion if you wish to also vote the other person and have 2 recreation volunteers instead of 1 recreation and 1 community services in the absence of a community services volunteer.
Okay. Given that there are no nominations for community services volunteer, and we do have a second one for recreational services, Danielle Warner, does someone want to nominate Danielle Warner for a second recreational services certificate? I'll make that nomination. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Okay, Madam Secretary, may we have a roll call?
Commissioner Arredondo, Commissioner Blackburn,
Yes.
Commissioner Cox,
Yes.
Commissioner Din,
Yes.
Commissioner Kennedy,
No.
Commissioner Lewis,
Aye.
Commissioner Pena, Commissioner Stewart,
Yes.
Vice Chair Lopez,
Yes.
Chair Kaufman.
Yes. And that vote passes by a 7-1 vote, so we have 2 recreational services winners for the recreational services award. Yes.
Can I just comment on this, reading these two, because since we don't know these people very well, if, in the future, we can make a comment on here, like maybe when the person is describing that person, if they can write something to the extent of like how long they've been with this organization, like approximately how many hours, and like. 'cause
Sure,
that
we
way-
can what we can do is actually, instead of relying on the bio or whatever nomination, we can actually adjust the application for future years to put in there how many years of service.
If it
for
with this,
specific
yeah.
organization.
Yeah, so that we can kind of get an
Sure.
in-depth viewpoint of that.
Good point. Okay, moving on to the next item 3, request by Commissioner Cox to provide an update on the council's decisions to allow marijuana cultivation within the city and its effect on the senior living unit. Do you have a report on that?
Well, Commissioner Cox wanted to comment or to elaborate further. I can give you a current update, and then you can have discussion. How would you like to do that?
You know, what stimulated this, and I thought it was in the Tribune, but I haven't been able to find an article that I read.
It was in the Tribune, you are correct.
Oh, what?
Yes.
No, not on West Covina's motion, on senior citizens and the usage of cannabis or marijuana.
Okay,
And so anyway, I just said, well, no, let's anyway, talk about what I'm not sure exactly what they agreed to. I mean, it changes,
Sure,
from
so-
time to time depending upon who's,
right. So we were going down a specific path, and then council voted 3-2 to change that direction, and then they pretty much killed it at the council level. And then brought it back April 17th and decided on a 3-2 vote to approve commercial cultivation and laboratory testing. So that would be in the north section of town, and nowhere else is that zoned for that. And then basically at this point, you're looking at it going to Planning Commission around September, October at the earliest. And really, from the Planning Commission, it still may die, and we have former planning commissioners in this room who know how things have worked on that. And at the point where if it does go through the Planning Commission in the same format as which council had hoped that we revisit it, then it will go back before council, and depending upon council's pleasure, they could vote it down again, or they could choose to move forward with it. So it's a process again. It's not just something that overnight gets decided on.
okay. Well, then this is a little bit premature then in some of this discussion.
Sure, okay.
That's fine.
Okay, item 4, facility reports for March and April 2018.
This is just a receive and file item. The information is attached in your packet, and it just has to do with the activity at all of our facilities and our events that go on at those facilities. What's not necessarily outlined, but I will just share, is that we had about 1,000 people at our Easter celebration. So that's divided 2 parks, a little over 1,000 people, probably 1,500 at the 2 parks. Both events were a success. Any of you who attended can attest to the crowd. Much better safety control measures done by staff, and the participants were really happy with the way things were organized. So we're hoping to continue that moving forward, and again at Del Norte and Cortez. So.
Commissioner Stewart?
Yes, thank you. I was over at the Cortez Park Senior Center, and gentleman up front there, I missed this president. I heard, I can't catch it there anyway. He said they're having a lot of parties. Is that good for the city? I mean, do they pay for those
Sure.
outside
I mean,
parties?
Park Shelter Rentals, Mike oversees the Park Shelter Rental program.
Facility rentals, what?
Yeah, the facility rentals at the senior center per se are absolutely up, yeah. Susie's doing a fantastic job with the marketing and branding. And as we'll talk more further in the agenda, the renaming of the senior center helps too. So Cortez, we do have facility rentals in the park as well, but sometimes we don't. Sometimes people just show up.
Right. And also talking about, I noticed on this week, some of the dance classes only like 6 people. And I was asking if that's proper for the city, so it doesn't make any difference if the city gets a percentage. If the instructors are willing to work for 6 people, so I guess the city gets so much off of that, so it doesn't make any difference.
Yeah, I mean, when they say it doesn't make any difference, of course, we would obviously like more people, participating, but we're willing to run a program as long as we're covering our costs for the staff time. So if staff's going there for only 6 people, we may have something else going on in the facility at the same time. But yeah, it's always nice when an instructor is willing to give it a year to really try it out, because you need time for the Discover to go out and advertise, so.
Yeah, they got 2 things there that are off computer classes.
Yep.
And, what's the name of the other dance they got?
Ballroom?
Zumba.
Oh, Zumba?
Zumba.
Zumba's actually like a Latin fitness class.
Yeah, 247.
Yeah, huge.
Okay, that's fine.
I'm not running the show.
Oh, I just wanted to thank Mike for the outstanding job he did there at Del Norte with the Easter egg hunt. I took 2 of my 4 grandkids over there, and it was done well. First time in a long time it wasn't a melee, and I want to say thank you. Outstanding job.
That was a team effort. Thank you.
Okay, any other comments? Okay, continued business, item 5, update of sports complex office space available for city use at Edgewood High School. That was brought up by Commissioner Arredondo at the last meeting, but she's not present today, but is there a report on that?
Sure, Mike's gonna go ahead and give you an update.
At the last meeting, Commissioner Arredondo stated that at the new pool complex, there'd be office space available for club teams or the city. So after we got that information, I reached out to Dave Larkin, the project manager over there, and at this time, there is no plan to allow the city over there. They don't have the space available. So that's just what we've been told so far. As they progress in the project, obviously we'll stay involved and see what we can do. They're supposed to break ground mid-July to the end of July, and as it progresses, I think they'll figure out what program they're going to do, and we'll see how far we can go in there and what'll be available to us.
Okay, fine. Mr. Cox.
Yeah, it seemed like her comment was as a result of a question that she asked as a member of the Oversight Committee, that this room is being designed specifically for use, and I think primarily use for the city.
I can't comment on that, but talking to Dave Larkin, who is the project manager who oversees that doesn't seem to be in the plans now. No.
So what I can add to that is that she was at an oversight board meeting where that was discussed, and as you know, in construction plans, maybe that was a discussion that they had hoped to provide that, and then moving forward with the plans, that's not something, maybe they omitted it, or maybe there was miscommunication about it, but as far as the district staff is concerned, there is no plan to have city office space.
And that only makes sense.
Okay, any other comments? Okay, next item 6, update on the Shop Local program.
Sure, so we're a little over a year into the Shop Local After School program, which again is a partnership with the city and the school district and local businesses. To date, there has been $50,600 raised in donations from local businesses. Some are big businesses, some are small businesses, but overall that's spread out within 3 school districts. That's West Covina Unified, Covina Valley, and then Roland just joined a few months ago. So in total right now, West Covina Unified has received $34,100 in sponsorships. Covina Valley Unified has received $14,500, and Roland Unified has received $2,000. So those programs currently are going to fund STEAM, science, technology, engineering, arts, and math. And what I can tell you is that Holland Crest Middle School is currently funding color guard, digital music production, and the West Covina High School choir department is receiving funding as well. And then Covina Valley has some funding going to their robotics program at Trawick. So, so far it has been successful. We're hoping that funding will continue, because obviously what we don't want to see happen is this kind of be a one and done. And we continue to advocate, but of course the city does not receive any funding directly. We promote the program, but the funding goes directly to the school district and the students. So.
Are there any guidelines as to what programs the funds can be used for, or is it the total discretion of each individual school district?
So initially, when this program was conceived, it was that the school districts would put together a proposal. So the school districts did that, and it was engaged around the STEAM concept. So there was robotics, there was art programs, whether that's performing arts, fine arts, etc. There's cooking classes that were promoted by South Hills High School. So it just really comes down to, in that arena, what the schools end up having funding for. They kind of had their wish list, and then it was like, okay, what can you afford moving forward? Some of the funding goes to pay for the after-school teacher. Some of it goes to pay for equipment, material, supplies. As you may know, West Covina High School Choir traveled, and I can't remember, maybe you can help me with that, traveled back east, I believe, to perform. New York?
Carnegie Hall.
Yeah, Carnegie Hall. So we actually, from the shop local funding, were able to, they were able to take funds from that to help support that endeavor. So things like that, it's supposed to be out of the regular school day, so it's not supposed to be something that's just carried through. It's supposed to be a supplemental program after school, and engaging, with the businesses as well to keep perpetuating the program.
That's what actually my question came from, is my understanding at the beginning of the program, it was to institute new programs other than courses that already existed, but the list that you gave are basically a lot of classes that already exist during regular school time, as opposed to different types of classes that may have been cut out with funding, drop off in funding over past years. But robotics, that's an existing course.
Well, it may be an existing course, but it's actually provided in the after-school atmosphere. So it's supposed to be provided after school hours, something to help keep the kids engaged. Some people may not actually be enrolled in that program during the course of the day, but are able to take that class after. If that's something that's not happening, obviously, we would like to hear about that, because our understanding is that it has gone to supplement. Some of these programs were lacking in funding and maybe couldn't add to the pieces of, per se, the choir department, right, or a band program. You can't add pieces if you don't have the equipment and the materials of the funding. So that was what it was supposed to go towards.
Okay. Yeah, the choir program has got a lot of private fundraising on their own as well.
Yes. And I know that was added on there. I don't think that the funding isn't geared towards just going to choir. That was just something that they wanted to make sure they listed, because that had contributed to help them go to Carnegie Hall.
Any other comments? Okay. Item 7, update on the homeless plan.
Sure. So update on homeless plan. Currently, Kelly and I are working with our consultant, Lassar Consulting, and again, we partnered with other agencies in the San Gabriel Valley to partner with the COG to try to fast track this, if you will, to meet the county's deadline of the end of June. We are currently meeting with our consultant this Thursday at 4 p.m. in the community room with our stakeholders. We've invited our stakeholders to the meeting in order to do our SWOT analysis that is part of our plan. So what I'm asking the commission to do is to choose 4 people to come. We don't want to, it's not a public meeting. We've specifically identified our service providers in addition to treating it as like kind of a subcommittee. So if there are 4 commissioners that would like to attend and provide input as to what they believe our strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats are, to help us incorporate that into our plan, I would like the council to make that, or the commission to make that decision. So again, we're looking for no more than 4, because we don't want to create a quorum of a commission meeting.
That's this Thursday?
That's this Thursday at 4 o'clock.
We had invited the CDBG subcommittee.
Yes, I'm sorry. We did invite the CDBG subcommittee. You're right. We already had done that. So if there's somebody else that would like to attend, I believe we got all 3. Yes. So thank you for clarifying that with me, Kelly. So if one other person would like to come to be on that, they're more than welcome.
Okay. Is there anyone who would like to attend the meeting?
I would. Since I've been the one complaining about it.
You know what? And I appreciate that, Glenn.
Okay. So who are the 3 members of the subcommittee who are already attending?
Is Blackburn, Stewart, and Lewis are 3.
Okay. And the maximum is?
The maximum is 4, yes.
Can't we do 5?
Oh, I guess we can do
isn't
5,
enough.
because 5 is the
Five
quorum.
isn't enough.
You're right, you're correct.
Yeah.
I stand corrected.
Are you volunteering?
He's already gone.
You're already there. Okay, so we have 4 then, so need one more?
We can have, I'm
Okay.
saying it's, yeah, we don't want to create a quorum, so no more than 5.
Okay, so is there anyone else who's interested? Then I will.
Okay.
Okay. Next item is the update on renaming the senior center. I know it was before the city council, and they passed it, but I haven't seen any new signs yet.
It takes time, it takes time. Yes, so the council did go with your recommendation as a commission to rename the senior center to the Cortez Park Community and Senior Center. So Mike is actually working with vendors right now to get quotes for a new reader board sign, in addition to putting the new lettering on the building. There are also 2 community signs in the public right-of-way that direct people to the site. So we're looking at updating that. And before we can make that happen, because of course there's a timing and a cost associated with that, we're actually able to use CDBG funds for our reader board, which is fantastic news, which we're going to make it digital. It'll be much nicer than what it is now. The staff is already updating online and print information to ensure that our name is that moving forward for marketing purposes.
Sounds good. Okay. Ad hoc committee reports, capital improvement project group met to discuss playground projects and amenities for upcoming fiscal year with Measure A funding. Is there a report on that?
We met, and the subcommittee has brochures, and so they're kind of coming through that and getting ideas, and then we'll reconvene. We actually have an update for you. There is going to be a community meeting, and we'll make sure Deb sends out the meeting time. I think it's at 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock, something like that, on May 30th at the Cortez Community and Senior Center. And that will be with the county, and there'll be community input so that there's questions or concerns or comments that you have for the process. They're looking at opening up the funding stream this fall, so we're actually a little bit earlier than we had anticipated. We thought it probably wouldn't be closer to 2019. So we're looking at taking the list of projects that we have and revisiting that revised project list with them. And obviously, as I've said before, for council, one of the priority projects is to do Shadow Oak Lower Plateau, parking lot, restroom facility, and the top lot, so.
Mr. Stewart.
Nicole, the email you sent us with the one that had the different, the basketball courts, different heights and everything,
Yes.
all in a condensed area. Is there anyone in Southern California that's got that, cities that you know of?
I don't know, and that's a good question, and I can reach out to the vendor to ask them.
Did they mention how much that one, if we had the picture of cost?
They didn't, and they didn't actually, that was like kind of a marketing tool for them. So yeah, I haven't inquired about it. I figured one of you would let me know if that was something of interest.
Yeah, it's pretty unique.
Yeah.
It's hard to describe. It's got basketball courts, it's got basketball hoops, and it's on 4 feet, some 6 feet, there's everything in there.
It's really designed to be an inclusive basketball court. So it's got different shapes and sizes to accommodate different abilities and, from children on up to taller people.
Well, you can see there was some of the big kids be playing on the small ones. Then that could be a problem.
No, that doesn't happen now at Cameron, right?
They like the courts as low as they can get them.
Slam dunk.
Okay, that brings us to commissioners.
Oh, Mr. Chair, I'm sorry. Had an issue come up relative to the ad hoc committee reports, and because of timeliness, I didn't have time to get it on the agenda. But HUD recently announced its CDBG allocations for fiscal year 2018. And with that recent announcement came a 60-day clock for us to turn around our action plan to them. The announcement of the allocations was late this year. It was included in the omnibus that was passed at the end of March, but they just announced them. And so because of the timeline, we're having to turn that around to them by the end of June. And then therefore taking that to council, get council approval the second meeting in June. And part of that action plan is the public service consideration, the nonprofit organizations that submit applications for funding and so forth. And so that's part of the process. We've received funding applications, and we have confirmed a subcommittee meeting for the 24th of May to hear presentations and develop some funding recommendations. But because the plan is due prior to the next commission meeting, we're looking at maybe getting some sort of action to authorize the subcommittee recommendations to go directly to council.
So can we pass a resolution saying that what your recommendations will be the determination of the commission, or would it be better to have a special commission meeting to review it?
So if the commission desires to have a special meeting, you can, but the only item that would be on there would be to approve the CDBG ad hoc committee recommendations. So it would be my recommendation for you to make a motion, or to somebody to make a motion to just authorize whatever recommendations come from the CDBG ad hoc to be considered for council consideration.
Okay. Is there any discussion on it?
It depends on who's on this commission.
We have Commissioner Blackburn,
Okay,
Commissioner
well, that
Stewart, and
settles
Commissioner
that.
Lewis.
And
Anything else?
it's been an existing committee for...
Yeah, Commissioner Blackburn, Commissioner Lewis, and Commissioner Stewart are all on the
Okay,
ad
so
hoc.
Kennedy's not on it then?
No.
Okay.
That's the difference?
No, I was just
Absolutely.
asking if he's on, no, if he'd be on it, he'd be good, I'm sure.
Okay.
Just a quick question. Can we do that without noticing the item?
Well, he has to notice it anyway,
Okay.
for the public service providers for notice.
Right.
So-
No. I mean, to provide for public comment and stuff like that.
They'll still have public comment at there's public comment period for the
For
noticing
the-
of the action plan.
Okay,
So they'll still have an
at the
opportunity.
council? Is that what we're saying? Okay, all right,
Yes.
fair enough.
Good point.
So what we contemplate doing would be a Brown Act violation or anything like that? Okay, so someone want to make a motion? Okay. I would move that we approve the determination of the ad hoc capital improvement, well, what's the ad hoc,
CDBG.
Yeah, public service project.
I always get those letters mixed up. One more time.
CDBG.
CBDG. CPD.
Community Development Block Grant.
CDBG,
CD.
It's a block grant.
Community Development Block Grant. Ad hoc committee.
CDBG. That we approve in advance the determination of the CDBG committee as to an allocation of funds to the nonprofit providers. Is there a second?
I'll second that.
Madam Chairman, a roll call, please.
Commissioner Redondo, Commissioner Blackburn,
Yes.
Commissioner Cox,
Here, yes.
Commissioner Din,
Yes.
Commissioner Kennedy,
Nope.
Commissioner Lewis,
Aye.
Commissioner Pena, Commissioner Stewart,
Aye.
Vice Chair Lopez,
Aye.
Chair Kaufman.
Aye. Motion passes 7-1. Okay. That then does bring us to our commissioner reports. Commissioner Stewart.
Actually, I don't, I'm looking forward to a couple of things coming up here, but as far as we went through this so fast, it means you're doing a good job, but we got a lot of things coming up. So I'm looking forward to the next couple of weeks because there's a lot of things on the agenda.
Okay, Commissioner Lewis.
Nothing at this time.
Commissioner Kennedy.
And where do you want me to start?
It's up to you.
I'd like to agendize one item here,
Well, that's after the commissioner reports.
or ask if I can. How's that? Is that?
Well, yeah, well, let's do the commissioner reports, and
Okay.
then you can ask to agendize items.
All right, well, I go to all the city functions, so I went to all 30 of them the last 2 months. There, I'm done.
Thank you. Commissioner Cox.
I have nothing to report.
Commissioner Din.
I was able to go to the public safety luncheon in April last month, and it was a good turnout. This time we had it at the Hearst Ranch, and it was a nice event, peaceful, very touching at some point too.
Mr. Blackburn.
Nothing other than just to thank staff again. They always seem to be, I was by the by the community service department today, and it just seemed like everything runs smooth, so hopefully everything's going as smooth as it appears to be.
Thank you.
Vice Chair Lopez.
I attended our first neighborhood watch program, and Glenn was there too. So it was our first time at Bainbridge. It's actually beautiful inside. From the outside, because of all the bricks, you would never figure what it looks like from the inside. It was a huge success. It was 100 people. It ran long, a lot of informational things with police, public safety, questions from the community, and so forth. So if it continues, hopefully we'll have our own neighborhood watch program in our area. So yeah, that's pretty much it.
Okay, I would like to mention a few things that we've had in the city the last few weeks. I attended the Cherry Blossom Festival, which rather than being outside in South Hills Plaza, was inside the mall, and it was really crowded. I think, I hope that going forward in the future, I think an outside venue is more conducive to that type of an event. The Earth Day, Arbor Day event a few days ago was very well done, thanks to West Covina Beautiful and the families of the deceased people receiving honorary trees. We're all very thankful for and appreciative of the event, and it's a very touching ceremony. Community Services Day, I think, went very well. It was a big turnout. A lot of people did a lot of work with Ridge Riders, and a lot of us went to other places around the city. And then there's another fine meal at the Senior Center afterwards. There's also the Dunkin' Donuts Baskin Robbins grand opening, which was a nice event and included a nice protest from a group of local vegans.
You didn't participate in that, did you?
I did by having a non-dairy daiquiri.
So you did your own private, silent, quiet protest? Or did you carry signs?
I didn't carry signs, but I did commiserate with those who were protesting. It was nice, peaceful demonstration. I was also very happy to serve as a judge at the Lions Club regional semifinals of their high school speakers program. There's some great presentations done by some really great, talented high school speakers, and the winner of the competition gets something like a $20,000 college scholarship. So that's a great yearly event, and I was very, very happy to have been asked to have been one of the judges this year. And finally, some of us attended the stage show of Crazy Ex-Girlfriend, which was a very, very entertaining event for some of us. Others chose not to attend, but it was
too late for some of our.
That's about that. Upcoming events.
Oh wait,
Items to be agenda.
Agenda.
Oh,
I've been waiting.
I'm very
I've been
sorry.
waiting.
Commissioner Kennedy, your item to be agendized.
Well, I'm just asking, since, I've been the one complaining about the homeless since the middle 80s, and I might as well stand front and center and ask, is there any way that the city would be interested, or we can go in front of the council and ask them if we could have a homeless committee?
What would that entail?
Getting rid of the homeless
Well, when you say getting rid of the homeless.
in a humane way.
Well,
Not in the old days when they used to drag them back with police cars and drop them off in Pomona. Those days are over.
yeah, well, and I would venture to also say that, again, when you say get rid of them, I think that you're more saying how can we alleviate the issues and the problems that we're having here?
No. Okay, here's my issue. There was a kid named Daniel, and he lived at the bus stop on Sunset Merced. And for 2 months, I tried to help this guy. I called every number, and I got nothing but the runaround. It's very frustrating. So finally, Lieutenant Pat Benchop jumped in and helped me out, and we finally got him into USC, and so he can get the medical treatment that he needs. But the whole issue is they say it's there, but when you go for it, no, it's not there. Or they make it so hard. You know, it's like sitting in the DMV for the next 2 weeks. They make it that difficult. So I think if we have some type of commission or committee that we can alleviate some of the stuff for the city and give them ideas and talk to the residents and we all, at some point, we all have to move forward.
Yeah, and I would say that what you're talking about is the end point, the end of line, and the getting the services, and that's exactly what staff, and that's exactly what our service providers are frustrated about. But that lies with the county funding for Measure H, and that's something that we've articulated to the county and our COG, because we are having a problem, and they have acknowledged that it's starting to open up in terms of being able to get people through for services, and that's that whole coordinated entry system where you take them in, you do an analysis. It's called the the VI SPIDAT. So they do the SPIDAT. They basically do a whole questionnaire. It takes about an hour, and they decide whether or not they can help this person, whether there's mental health issues, substance abuse issues, what sources of income could they potentially have that they don't even know about. There's a whole process that goes along. So that process leads to getting resources or not, right? And then you have families who are at the end of that we're trying to provide housing for. So it's navigating that whole system. I can tell you that the city's looking in this new budget cycle to be able to hire a homeless coordinator to help. So when you say you want a homeless committee, are you saying you want a homeless subcommittee, like an ad hoc committee?
Yeah, pretty much, yeah.
And I think that that's completely within your purview, and if the commission decides that they want to put people on that committee, then that's perfectly fine. But in terms of the person that would be doing the case managing and somebody to meet with, I don't think that that's what you want to open yourself up to at this point, and that would just be my recommendation. Only because there's a whole level of case management and time and energy that goes along with that, and you don't necessarily have the resources to connect them to where they need to be and what they might want. And a lot of what they want is not in West Covina, therefore it's frustrating because they don't want to leave West Covina. Not that they were necessarily from West Covina in some cases, but when you're asking them where they want, the shelters in Pomona or LA, what services can I get you? Okay, if I can get you housing right now, if I can get you somewhere, if I can get you a bed tonight, you have to go to LA or Pomona, they're not interested. So that's the dynamic, and Kelly faces that, the service providers face that. So, but I think definitely if somebody wants to make a motion, B would like to make a motion to, agendize having that for discussion, to create a subcommittee, ad hoc committee, perfectly within the purview.
That's in our guidelines. Do
Sure.
we need permission from the council?
No, you don't
We
need
can
permission.
do it as a-
Yeah, you don't need permission from the council to create an ad hoc committee, but you
Okay.
just agendize it, and if you would like to get a motion for somebody to agendize that item, and then we can look at doing that.
Yeah, I would. I'd like to.
I just have a question, Glenn. Would you foresee the ad hoc committee doing what? I mean, literally going out and speaking with people?
Absolutely. Well, I do.
I know you do.
I
That's
do.
what that's what I'm
I
saying.
can't speak for anybody else, but I'm a hands-on guy. So I'll go out there and speak. I don't have an issue with that. Now, if the rest of the people don't, I don't have an issue with that either.
No, I just wondered, trying to find different programs that would be available for people in need. I mean,
Well,
that's
I know.
basically-
All we ever do is everybody complains, but nothing ever gets done. And at some point, somebody's got to stand up and it's got to be done. We got to move forward.
I thought we had a project Move Along.
We have a HOPE team. It's not Project Move Along, but we have a HOPE team that actually goes out there, provides outreach and education. As a matter of
Who
fact,
writes the tickets?
there isn't a ticket being given right now.
Oh, I thought that was approved at the council.
No, that was actually an administrative site, and that's actually warning first. And then if they're continuing to be out of compliance, there's an administrative site function. But it's not a.
Oh, citation, meaning of.
Correct. But I mean,
So it's
that's not like right away, move along. There's an education and outreach component to that. It's more of the repeat offenders that you have that are refusing services and literally don't want to move. And there are services available, there's housing available, there's resources available, they just continue to not want to do that. or they're violating, they could be smoking in the park or doing illegal drugs. I mean, there's a myriad of things that go along with that. That's beyond the administrative site aspect of it.
I know Glenn has a better feel probably than any of us, or a combination of all of us, as far as the homeless. I would like to ask either staff or maybe Glenn would have a feel for it. How many homeless people do you think we have in West Covina? I was told by a police officer 350. Is that realistic?
Well, what I can tell you is last year the count was 158 and the whole city wasn't counted, and that was an increase of 228%. So I will tell you this year was a much better coordinated effort between the staff and the county to ensure that we had enough volunteers, from whether it was staff or community members, commissioners, council were there. So I'm confident that the number this year will be more accurate. We don't have that count yet, but if the officer is telling you 350, whether or not they're actually technically from West Covina, probably not. There are homeless people that come from all over, but if an officer is telling you that he feels that more realistically it's a 350 count, probably. Because there were encampments, there's homeless in the flood control channels that are weren't necessarily counted in the past.
In the Paseos?
In the Paseos, along hillsides, that we've worked to try to get out the encampments for safety reasons. We had an issue where there was a fire started, which obviously is a safety issue for residents and staff, in addition to the homeless individuals that are starting the fire. So there's a lot of things that are going on in that community, and it's like a sub-community within the sub-community. So, absolutely, as Commissioner Kennedy mentioned, if there's an ad hoc committee desire from this commission, that would be completely acceptable.
Glenn, would you say that's a realistic number?
Yeah, absolutely, and I'll tell you why. In years past, we had the freeway. Okay, there's a huge encampment on Grant. You know how if you're coming west and you get off, and circles around in that circle, before they cut it down, there was at least 150 people there. Okay, since the construction of the freeway, everybody's moved here or there or wherever. Like in between Azusa and Vincent on the 10 going west, on the side there's a huge, there had to have been 50 yards. You couldn't see it because you had the brush, but behind the brush there was at least 50 yards. It's like a football field back there. In fact, one guy crashed, went through the brush and died, and they didn't find him for a week until the neighbors could smell him. So that's how dense that area is, and nobody, if you're not paying attention, then out of sight, out of mind. But now that the freeway's been constructed, everybody's gone everywhere, and they seem to stand at the corner of West Covina Parkway and Vincent with the sign up. I've been seeing the same guy going to asking for the same funeral for 5 years. Okay, he sits there in a sign. I got a little baby that died, same guy, and that's what you get. But they also get services from St. Martha's, or not St. Christopher's, and then they go there in the morning and they don't go very far. They're behind McDonald's, they're at Walmart Park, they're behind Vaughn's, they're behind the car wash there. So 350, and that's just on this side of town. Now over there on Amar and Azusa, if you go up in above 399 Pizza, it's like a little city in there. Yeah, I mean you can't see anybody. The only time you see them when it rains, all of a sudden you see all these blue tarps everywhere, and the police clean them out, and then a week later they all go back. So it's a never-ending battle.
Where's that?
Amar Azusa, behind the 399 Pizza, across the street from where McDonald's is at. There's a hill up there. I think that street goes to Woodgrove Park. There's a Bentley. On Bentley and there's a hill. And on top of the hill, it's massive land up there. It doesn't look like much when you're driving, but once you get up there, they got it constructed like a little city, just like they did on Grand Avenue. It's like a little city in there.
And they're actually moving out of that area because they're doing a landscape abatement there.
Then they'll be behind Seafood City again. And anytime anybody wants to go during the day, I'll drive you. I'll show you every place. I used to patrol this city for years, so I know where they're all at.
Do you talk to them?
Hell no.
So you just, oh.
Well, some of them, all of them have some type of issue, okay? If it's drugs or mental, we have, and there's a lot more mental than you think. People are just schizophrenics, you know, and they've been thrown out of what facility, just thrown into the street. Where do you think they're gonna go? They're gonna go nowhere.
So we'll have that item on the agenda for the next meeting. Okay. Anything else, any other items that any commissioner wishes to have agenda items? Okay. Upcoming events.
There's a lot happening.
Busy time.
So this Saturday is the Touch a Truck event at Cortez Park in the upper lot next to the fire station. And then there will also be on that same day at 2 o'clock. So when you go from 10 to 2, then you can leave there and go over to the Lakes Entertainment Center, otherwise known as Edwards Theater, and the West Covina High School Choir Department will be performing. And Lions 48th Annual Night on the Town event is coming up, which is like a taste of West Covina. So if you have not purchased your tickets from the Lions, you are encouraged to do so. The proceeds from the ticket go to support their their Seeing Sight program, and I don't know the technical term for it, so if somebody does, you can help me out. But it's to help provide eyeglasses to people, and they go through the school system and help them out.
Will there be ticket sales on site?
Usually there are, yeah. I know they do pre-sale tickets, but I haven't seen, I think a few years ago they got close to capacity, but last year you could buy them on site. And then we have, talking about another community performance from our Holland Crest Middle School Band and Color Guard. They'll be performing on Friday, May 25th at 4 p.m. We have our Youth Council End of the Year Banquet that's coming up on Saturday, May 26th. And then Memorial Day, one of our annual events, that's happening on Monday, May 28th at 10 a.m. Covina's Relay for Life at Cortez Park on June 2nd. And there was some confusion. There's some feedback to the city that was going to be conflicting with closing day ceremonies from West Covina Little League, and that's not the case. So I don't know where that came about, but Mike meets with a group from Relay for Life and also is a liaison for Sports Council, and we don't have a conflict there. And then coming up, one of the items I do want to add in here, and I don't think we actually have it on our agenda, is on Monday, this coming Monday, May 14th, at night, we actually have a budget meeting, budget preview meeting, so that'll be one of the first budgets that we're really going to be talking to council and getting some direction in order to close the gap, in order to have a balanced budget. And that's at 6:30, I believe, yes, 6:30 here at City Council Chambers. And then we're going to be moving forward right now. Currently on Monday, June 11th, we have a special council meeting to discuss and adopt the fiscal year 18-19 budget. So we'll see if we can get that happened. And then we have a lot of stuff going on at the Senior Center, recognizing Father's Day lunch. We have our summer concert series starting on Wednesday, June 13th. And you guys have already seen and heard that lineup before, but we have some really good bands coming out. And thank you again to the commissioners for going to Concert Share and helping us out this year. And our summer movies in the park start on Tuesday, June 19th. And again, we start with a couple of the movies at Shadow Oak Park, and then it transitions to the plaza on the 3rd floor outside near, what is that? JCPenney, thank you. And then we have our 4th of July event on Wednesday, July 4th. So lots happening in community services over the next couple months. This is our busy time. Yes?
Question, 4th of July, what's the parking situation? What have they figured out?
Yeah, we're still working on that. There's going to be parking, Dave. Yeah, we're still working out the shuttle in terms of the location and what we're doing there, but there will be shuttle service running the entire event, and we will have obviously VIP parking up at the top, and then once that parking is exhausted for vendors, VIP and whatever else we have left over, then it'll be off-site parking for the shuttle.
Okay, so how do the people that attend, how do they know where to go get the shuttle?
We will be communicating that way ahead of time. Yeah, we're getting it out there. We just have, I think next week we have a meeting to finalize kind of where the location pickup drop-off are, so.
Because if they all drive it, it's going to be a bad
Yeah, and again, we're working with PD and Public Works to ensure safety, road closures, and whether they do, traffic control signals like on an AMAR and Azusa in order to allow the traffic to leave at the end of the night and stuff like that.
If anybody that went to the one day, whatever, I mean, they're parked blocks away.
Oh, yeah.
There's a lot of cars.
Yeah, yeah, and that's why we're working with the neighboring shopping centers, because usually on 4th of July, other than some fast food joints, it usually dies down. Everybody goes out for something. So.
Very good. Thank you.
There at BLD, is it gonna be open for, it's got two sports centers there.
The restaurants?
Yeah, the
Yes, the
restaurants.
restaurants will be open, serving food and beverages.
What kind of beverages?
The kind that you like, Glenn.
Okay, I'm
Yes.
just asking.
There will be beer served, yes.
That's what I'm
Yes,
asking.
on site, yes. We will not need a beer garden this year or an outside purveyor. They will be serving, yes.
You have to drink it inside though?
Inside the park.
And inside the park, yeah.
Inside the park, you take it out of the park?
No.
In the park only. In the park.
In the park.
You got it in the gated area. Once you walk in, you're in.
Yeah, but
the park.
inside Big League
Yeah, you
Drinks,
can
not
walk
just
all-
inside the restaurant. You can be inside the park.
Yes.
Yeah.
Are there outside vendors this year for food?
We actually are working, and I don't know if we have
For
status
dessert.
for dessert.
We're looking
yeah.
at a couple food, like not food, I'm sorry, I'm saying food trucks, but a couple things for dessert. The food mainly will be provided by the restaurants there at BLD. They are looking at bringing in maybe some tri-tip and some other things, so making a couple other options. Not quite sure if they're gonna do that yet, still waiting to hear back. But, maybe like an ice cream truck and, some other kind of dessert, but not too much other food, no.
No carnival?
We're planning on doing picnic games at this time. We don't really, like maybe do some pick-up softball, have soccer open, some traditional, tug of war, things like that. But no carnival this year, no.
The carnival, unfortunately, unless we're doing a multi-day event, we cannot get the big rides, so it's cost prohibitive at this point.
Are you gonna have something for the kids?
Yeah,
So,
yeah. You mean, jumping
Well,
houses?
Yeah,
and stuff?
like the.
We'll have bounce
ball
houses
jumping
and
for
things.
the
Yeah,
kids,
yeah.
Because, gotta have something for them.
Yeah.
Okay, is there a motion to adjourn? So moved. Second. All in favor?
Aye.
We are adjourned.